Hi everyone, so welcome to today's video. We'll be talking about measuring progress. So I'll talk about why it's important to do so, and we'll discuss a few of the popular methods of measuring progress. And after that, I'll give you details on how to manage expectations. So why do we want to measure progress? A few points here on to why measuring progress is important. First of all, it ensures that we're moving in the right direction. So when you measure progress, basically we know if we are progressing or not. And if we're not, then we know there's something that needs to be changed or that we're not doing something right. Next is it helps us keep motivation high and drives improvement. We also understand when we need to change up the program or update something. So that goes back to the first point. Once we start to see the progress slow down or no more progress being made, obviously it depends on many other factors as well. But once we see that the progress is slowing down, we have an idea of when it's time to sort of change up a few things, try a different approach. It also helps us prioritize. So again, it goes back to the same very similar points where we know where to put our focus on. It also gives us the opportunity to reflect on an achievement, and I think this is often missed. So celebrating little wins, making sure that we are aware of the work we've been putting in. And last, it's a great way to challenge ourselves and make sure we're pushing ourselves a bit further. Now we'll touch on a few different methods of measuring progress. So one of the most popular ones is the scales. So through the scales, though the scales are often the go-to option, they don't always tell us what's really going on with our body. So one of the pros are they tend to give us an idea of change over time. And also, it's very accessible, so getting a scale is very easy. We can either go to the shop, buy one, or on Amazon. It's very easy to get those. However, the scale often fluctuates. If you are someone who have used a scale in the past, you'll notice that if you weigh yourself in the morning versus if you weigh yourself in the evening, there's sometimes fluctuation to up to 2 or 3 kilos. And we can't put on fat in that amount of time. So this is essentially different things such as food, water. There's many reasons why the scale will be different. Also, it can be triggering for some people. I've worked with many people with whom weighing themselves can be very triggering it can be very emotionally draining. So my recommendation sometimes is to just stop weighing themselves completely. We all often also aim for arbitrary numbers that really they don't mean anything. It's just a number on the scale, and it's quite interesting how much power it has over us. I've been through this as well. Just seeing that number can be very, very triggering, and we always aim for a number that we just pull out of thin air. And lastly, weight loss doesn't mean fat loss always, so that's something else to think about. Next thing is progress pictures. So this is another very, very popular method. We often see them on social media. And it can be taken daily, weekly, bi-weekly, or even monthly and compared over time. So it's great because it enables us to notice subtle changes in our body, and those changes can't be seen on the scale. Let's say we put on some muscle and we lose some fat. Sometimes we'll see that the number on the scale doesn't change, but we can see the difference in our body. We also have lots of data to look back on over time and reflect on, which is quite fun to do sometimes. A few other cons: it is very aesthetic driven, so very much based on body image. So how you feel about your body is also very dependent on your mood and your psychology. And also, it's not really advised for people with history of negative body image, because that can feed into this. Number 3, measurement. So taking body measurement can also tell more detailed story as to how your body is changing. So taking measurement is slightly more nuanced and number based. So it's a bit more, if you want, scientific than progress pictures. Pros: it gives us a better understanding of how the body is changing over time and more an idea of the body composition. It's also a better predictor of health than scales. So especially if the measurements around the midway, so the belly area, is changing, then you sort of have a better idea. Cons: it can be inaccurate if not measured around the same areas. So let's say you measure your upper arm and then your lower arm, there'll be some difference there. And it can also become a bit obsessive because it's a numbers game. We tend to sort of compare with each other, and it can become very competitive. Finally, another fairly popular one, something that I'm a huge advocate for, is performance. So this is one of the most enjoyable and arguably healthiest measures of progress, I would say. So tracking your performance is very relative to you, and that's where relative strength comes into play. So it's your strength for your body rather than comparing it to others. And also it can be very empowering to see yourself improve. So again, the pros: number 1, sense of empowerment. Number 2, as you see that progress, is very motivating. We can also use this as process goals. So a process goal is smaller steps that you take to reach your overall goal. So for example, if your overall goal is to tone up, breaking it down into process goals such as lifting weights and getting slightly stronger with time, being able to do more reps, is a pretty good thing to do. Also helps enjoy the process. So when you start to focus on your performance, you start to enjoy it a lot more, and sometimes you can maybe even forget about the overall goal because you're just enjoying this. It doesn't matter what your goal would be, you would still be doing the same thing. And we also focus on achievement and on what we have rather than what we don't. So we focus on being able to do stuff, being able to move, being able to do things with your body rather than just how it looks. So the cons: it may require a different approach. Sometimes it takes some time to remove our focus from the scales, from how our body looks, to sort of focus more on that performance. And then secondly, you may enjoy so much that you may become a gym junkie. So again, yeah, this is a bit of a joke, but I've worked with many people in the past and they had never lifted weights, never thought about it before, and because we've been focusing on performance, even when they went on holiday, they were still training. We still did some sessions online, and they are very surprised at how much they miss it when they can't train for some time. So now let's talk a bit more about managing expectation, and I'll keep that fairly brief. So this is one of the hardest things to do because of what we see on social media. So social media is riddled with transformation pictures, which usually the popular ones, 8-week, 12-week transformation. So just as a note, the transformation pictures that I showed earlier took me almost a year, and I think it's quite important to for people to understand it's not a quick fix. It's we're trying to develop a lifestyle. So this lifestyle takes time to cultivate. So it's important to start slow and enjoy the process. We also want to focus on developing and getting better, and this is very much on the mindset, the approach to whatever we're doing. I will send an email in the future talking about the mindset, growth versus fixed mindset, and why we want a growth mindset. And it's also important to remember that patience is key. Often we're so impatient that we tend to give up before we get to our goals. So patience is key. We want to keep going and keep pushing. And also, lastly, remember that you're on this journey for the rest of your life. So fitness is not just about an 8-week transformation. It's about a lifetime lifestyle approach. So yeah, take your time with it and enjoy. And remember that progress is never linear. You will have days where it's up, down, whether it's motivation, performance, nutrition. The important thing is to just keep going and keep pushing and change those into habits and behaviors. So it doesn't matter what your goal would be, we would still be doing the same thing because it's part of our lifestyle, part of our identity. So if this is something that you want to get into, if you want to start working on your performance, if you want to talk a bit more about tracking your progress or managing your expectation, please get in touch with me. I'd be more than happy to help you out. And yeah, hopefully you enjoyed this video, and I'll speak to you soon. Take care.